Hi, I'm Morgan,
And I'm Megan.
twins and host of M&M Chat, a monthly podcast that brings together our many commonalities: motherhood, farm life, fitness, chasing our passions, and Go Chat. It is our goal to create a show that is positive, real, and fun.
Our fourth series, you guys, is all about keeping calm these next few months as we get back into school routines. We will be talking about harvest, holidays, just toddlers, all the things. And then the series won't be as structured as we have been doing this year. We are going to try to keep it light and just comical, and especially during the holidays, just for something fun for us all to kind of listen to and interact with. So, Morgan, just to kick us off, should we do some roses and thorns with just starting the school year? Both of us, if you guys missed the last episode or if you haven't been following on social media, Morgan just got a new job as a middle school ag teacher. And so this is her first time teaching in a district and teaching kiddos consecutively for like day after day. So I thought it would be kind of fun to do some roses because there's a lot of good things happening and maybe some thorns or some challenges to start the year. And then even for me, this is my sixth year teaching and in a classroom in a district and still roses and thorns. So I think it would be fun to kind of talk about some of those. So what's going really well with your new position?
Yeah. There's so many things I could talk about. I'll just name a few different things. So I'll start with the roses, just a few roses. I love being in the same classroom every day. So one thing that is different from my current position to my previous position is that my previous position, I was going to a different classroom every day, sometimes multiple schools in one day. And it was challenging to keep track of over 60 teachers' schedules and where I was going when and what lesson I was doing and stuff like that. And there was a lot of prep and things. And so that was fun in itself because I was able to visit a lot of different grades. I do kind of miss not being able to go to like a third grade classroom or things like that. But I love having my own classroom and my own set of kids that I'm starting to get familiar with. I'm starting to um, really get to know and that I can build on the topic from one day to the next. So it does actually kind of seem like in my previous role I would come and do like set alone lessons and I would the lessons could stand by themselves. So I would come in, introduce the topic, and now almost building from one day to the next, like I don't have to move as fast. Like I don't
Mhm.
have to get through something in a half an hour. Like we have 3 days this week to get through content. So that's good and bad. I feel like I'm actually not moving as fast through content as I thought I would be, but that's also okay because then I'm like answering questions, we're backing up if we need to. Hopefully the students are kind of learning more deeply the content versus just surface level.
Mhm.
So that's a rose is that I can dive into content deeper. And being eighth graders, we can have more conversations about some of those hot topics. And another rose is that some of the students are just so sweet. Like one student brought in popcorn for me to show the class because we were talking about different kinds of corn that we grow here in Iowa. Another student brought in an heirloom tomato that their family member grew. One student asked me if they could be a designated someone who waters our outdoor classroom weekly. I had over 40 people in attendance at my first FFA meeting. So there's some really good things happening.
I
Some,
think that is really cool because you definitely made an impact with your last position, but you never really got to see where it went. And so
yeah,
this new position is just giving you a new angle. So you're
yeah.
still making an impact, but you're getting a new angle on what are they learning and building upon, and where are they going to take that, and you're getting to make some of those connections with the kiddos.
Yeah, I think so too. And hopefully spark their interest to want to pursue agriculture in high school, like take some of those agriculture classes. So hopefully I can, because with my previous role with Ag in the Classroom, it was such an important job to be able to like spark that initial interest. But like you said, now I can kind of carry it out. And like one student asked me if we could make pickles. And we're growing cucumbers in the outdoor classroom, and we're also growing dill. And so what's interesting is one student was like, wait, is this dill where dill pickles comes from? And I'm like, well, the dill is the herb that we use to make the seasoning for dill pickles, but we have cucumbers that we need to have with the dill. So we have both actually that we're growing in the outdoor classroom. So we could do like a fermentation lesson where we make homemade pickles. And they were like, yeah. And then I had another student come and ask me from sixth grade. So she's in sixth grade, so I don't even have her yet. But she stopped in my classroom and said, hey, I'm really excited to take your class. Are we going to be learning about livestock? And so I'm like writing these notes down because I'm like, if a student's asking about it, instead of
Yeah.
like the sixth grade, I don't know if I was really gonna do a lesson on horses. I mean, she wanted specifically horses. And so I probably was gonna maybe touch on more like cattle or pigs and stuff like that. But I'm like, if a student literally went out of her way to come tell me that she's really excited about the class and she wants to learn about horses, why not put a lesson about horses in there?
Yeah.
We could talk about like what horses were used for. We could talk about different breeds. We could talk about like how they use them now. So like I'm trying to like tailor it to what the kids are interested in, especially if they're like going out of the way to bring up something that they want to learn about.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. I think anytime that you can tie in their interests will help them be more engaged and be excited about it.
Yeah. My biggest thorn is that middle school is a little bit more of a challenge with classroom management than I thought they would be. I mean, I knew they would be, but I thought we would like get some sort of like grounding after the first week, and then we would be like pretty good, and then I might have like a few things here and there that I need to work on. But it's just since I have multiple classrooms that come in each day, like I teach I have seven sections, five of agriculture and two of homeroom and another class called WIN. So I have seven groups of kids coming into my classroom in a day. And like I think like the first class went really well. So like we're gonna have a great day. Then second period comes in and there's like three kids that behavior wise like just cause distractions in the class, cause disruptions and stuff like that that I have to address. And then I'm like, okay, then they leave. And then the third section comes and it's just like kind of like a whirlwind of like, I don't know what to expect for the next class. Like just because one class is good does not mean the next class is going to be. And then
Yeah.
maybe the end of the day is going to be really good. And then the behavior hasn't been like anything terrible. Like for the most part, like I haven't had to send anyone to the principal's room or anything like that. So these kids are pretty good kids, but just silly, talkative, um, and
Maybe say comments that they could keep in their head.
yeah, like sarcastic a little bit. Sometimes I'll ask a question and a kid will want to get a laugh out of the class. So things like that, messing with other kids, like with their peers, like they want to try to be funny or silly with their peers. So that's been my biggest challenge. I think it's helping me grow as a person though, of figuring out one, how to be patient with it. It's not going to happen overnight. Like that's one of my biggest goals this year is figuring out classroom management because even though in the past, and I'm talking quite a bit about this, but then you can tell me your roses and thorns. But in the past, like I worked at the daycare growing up and we managed the kids like at the pool and stuff like that. And then I worked at um day camps in the summertime. So I'm not new to like managing a group, but it was always for a short period of time. I've never managed a group that I have continuously like this.
Hmm.
Um, and previously, like it was always like I was the guest somewhere. So like kids almost seem like they're a little bit better behavior because it's kind of like when you go to a friend's house in the summertime and you're at a new place and you're on your best behavior versus like when you're at home, you let your guard down.
Yeah.
I feel like when I was doing ag in the classroom, like the kids knew I was coming in as a guest. And when
Hmm.
you were doing STEM camps, the kids were coming to you for a day and they knew they were coming for like a fun day of activities. So they're kind of on their best behavior. I feel like the
Yeah.
kids at school get
They get
used to you.
comfortable.
They get comfortable, and it's almost like how they act at home. Like they try to push their limits and stuff. So, um, both good and bad things that just not so much bad, I guess, just kind of challenging that are making me process.
Yeah. I definitely think that those are common roses and thorns. Just every year it brings its own challenges of new kiddos and new learning goals for those kiddos, new behavior things, and yeah, just like trying to navigate how every kid is different and what worked for one group might not work for the next group, and the dynamic of every class can be a little bit different. So that's something is definitely common for teachers when they start the school year. I'm feeling that way too with fourth grade. Just there's a lot of roses going on, but then also just the challenge of, okay, I need to figure out what works for these kids and what's going to motivate them and get them excited. A rose for me this year is I'm definitely going into the school year feeling more confident and less stressed and less overwhelmed than I was last year. Last year, I was brand new to a new school district, brand new to a new grade level. Prior to fourth grade, I taught first. And so new curriculum and everything was new. And then also I had a young kiddo. Andrew was only 8 months old when I started that position. And so just navigating a whole entire school year with a kiddo of my own, because prior, I mean, with my last job, he was so little. We had like 2 months left of school from maternity leave until I was on summer. So it
Yeah.
wasn't that much time left at school. So this was my first full year as a mom and a teacher at the same time. And
Well, and like you were trying to breastfeed and stuff too. So there's all those different things that go in with raising. Like you said,
yes,
with that lone tree, he was pretty little. So I
yeah,
feel like and your emotions are running too because like you're trying to make sure, and then you like there was points where you kind of felt guilty for asking for someone to cover your room. So there was
yes.
just a lot of things going on that and
Yeah, and I as I can like back on the topic of breastfeeding really quick. As a teacher, it is kind of tricky to breastfeed and like you need to go and pump and knowing the time to do that and then finding coverage. So when I was in first grade, it was pretty easy because we had two recesses and a lunch and then specials. So I had four opportunities unless I had recess duty. But I had three or four opportunities to find time to do that, or in the morning before the kids come in, or at the end of the day. Well, with fourth grade last year, we had one recess, and specials was first thing in the morning. Well, I didn't need to first in the thing in the morning yet. Like I wasn't ready to yet. So it wasn't a good schedule for me. So lunch was really my only time. And so if I ever have another child, I'm definitely going to advocate for myself. And that's totally on me. Like the school is great about letting people, and they have to like designate a space. And the school is awesome. They will find people to cover for you. I didn't advocate for myself and I didn't pursue finding somebody to cover me in the afternoon or mid morning, and I should have. So that's definitely something that I'm going to try to do better my second go around. And granted, part of the reason why I didn't advocate for myself was because it was a new position. I'm like, how am I supposed to tell the sub for 20 minutes what to do when I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing?
mm-hmm.
And so it's that whole thing of it was just easier for me to do it that way versus writing quick plans for somebody to take over for me for 20 minutes.
What do you
Um,
recommend from that experience? You said you want to advocate for yourself more. So since I'll be in that position come February, um, do I like go to the principal and say, "Hey, I'm gonna need a coverage every morning because my lunch is not till 1." So like, yeah,
yeah,
even if I waited till lunch, like
you
as
couldn't do
or
that.
it, yeah. So
So
like, do I
I
go
would,
to
yep.
him and ask, or do I just email the team and say like all the teachers in the district and
I
say,
would
or in
start
the
with the
building?
principal. I would start with the principal and kind of tell them the times you're thinking. Like if you're thinking you would need somebody maybe mid morning and afternoon, so that'd be 2 times, and then you guys could set like a schedule, and then if he needs like you to ask the team, then you could, but I would start with admin first and then go from there, and you can always be a little flexible with that time, like
Yeah.
when it
Because
works
that's
with the
what's tricky is it's every day.
mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was at my other position, my partner teacher was great because if I was like not completely finished and they were coming back in from recess, she would like stop them in the hallway and be like, Mrs. Johnson's just finishing up with a meeting. She'll be done in just a second, and then you can head in the room. And I had always locked my door, like to my classroom, so they couldn't get in. Anyways, but she was so great about just being like, she has a meeting that she's a part of right now, just a second. And then I would be like, literally 1 or 2 minutes, like, and I'd open the door, and she'd be like, oh, there she is. So it was great. I feel like people nowadays, it's a lot more common and a lot more like normal normal as far as like not as taboo. People
Yeah.
aren't like afraid to talk about it. And so I definitely think it's something that people are used to nowadays. Um, but then some other roses, it's just awesome getting back into school and seeing everybody again, and then getting back into that routine, and also getting to meet a fresh new group of kiddos. Also, my last group, so the kids that I taught last year, I saw a couple of them out waiting for the bus, and they made my morning. They're in a different building now because our building only goes to fourth grade, and they came running over to me, arms wide open. Mrs. Johnson, how is your year going? Like I haven't seen them in forever. Like they act like that. I mean, I saw them in May, but they were Miss Johnson, and they gave me a big hug, and so that made my day. And it just kind of gives you that reassurance, like, okay, so you do make an impact, even if sometimes they don't maybe show that they appreciate you. Like you do impact them, and hopefully in a positive way. Um, some thorns for me this year is just remembering how tired you are as a teacher, and trying to find time to enjoy your lunch without doing school stuff during that lunch period. And then also trying to have that boundary of this is the time I leave work, and
Yeah.
trying to get everything done you need to before you leave, so then you don't have to take stuff home. So far I've had to bring stuff home, and it's only the third week of school, so I need to work on that boundary. But that's a thorn, I think, for all teachers, is that when you're done, you're not done. There's always a
No.
to-do list.
I'm definitely noticing that. Yeah, there's been I knew teachers like I always thought highly of you guys and always gave you guys so much credit. But now being in this role, there's so much behind the scenes that you don't I mean you are aware of, but when you're in it, you're like, wow. Like
Yeah.
so I definitely give yeah, even more like applause, I guess, because yeah, I am with you there. Like, the first week of school, I had to figure out when to drink my water because I had never drank my water the whole first week of school. So my coffee would get cold and I'd still be drinking it by 3 p.m. So definitely difference in the change of pace. Like, and in my old position too, I was still like really incredibly busy all day, and like it was
a
but it was
different
almost like I was
a
in
different
control of my
busy.
schedule. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was in control of my schedule, so I would always make sure I took at least a 30-minute lunch uninterrupted most days,
Yeah.
because I was in control of when I scheduled lessons. So
Yeah.
yeah, just a little bit difference. I definitely don't have as much control over that stuff anymore.
Mm-mm. Should we go to toddler funnies?
I definitely want to talk about toddler life right now.
So we have some funny stories just that we have told each other in the last like couple weeks of different things happening with our boys. So Andrew is a year and a half, 20 months now, and then Dean is getting close to 3. He's
He'll
almost
be
3. He'll be
three.
3 in
Yeah, he'll be
November.
3 in November. I was planning his birthday party a little bit the other day.
Oh yeah. Do you have a theme?
Yeah, I think we're gonna do a skid loader construction theme.
Oh, that'll be cute. So Morgan is she's already potty trained Dean. He's been potty trained since he turned 2. But some things that he's kind of doing right now that she was telling me about is he likes to pee outside. And he wants to go pee outside anytime he can. And so Morgan lets him like in the farm when he's at the farm or like in places that it's appropriate. And otherwise, she's like, no, this isn't the place to go outside. We can't go in the parking lot outside. We gotta go inside the mall or whatever. So Andrew is not potty trained yet. I'm trying to plan out when I am going to potty train him. I'm thinking winter break. Since he'll be almost 2, he'll be 2 in January. And he wants to be like Dean. And also, Daddy likes to go pee on the farm too outside. So the other day, Kyle was peeing outside and he was like, Mama, pee? And I was like, you gotta go pee. And he's like grabbing his diaper. And I was like, you gotta go pee? And he's like, yeah. So I said, you want to try? Yeah. So I I let him try. I took down his pants, I took down his diaper, and he's like sitting in the yard and he's like grunting, like trying to pee. He's like, mm. And I'm like, do you have to pee? No. I was like, okay, you just wanted to pretend. So I was like, we'll try it again another day. But it's
Well,
just
and then Shannon, our brother's girlfriend Shannon, was watching him. You said, oh, she told us this the other day when we saw her that she was watching him when you guys were on like a cruise, and he was like playing in the garage with his trucks, and he was like vroom 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 vroom, and then she said every so often he would stop, and then he would be like, okay, run over to the house, and then he would act like he was peeing, and then
Yeah,
he'd
Daddy
run
has a
back,
spot
and
that
he
he
would
pees in.
yeah, he would act like daddy and be like, "Hey, take a pee break," and then he'd run back and he'd play with his trucks again. So I honestly think potty training, if you prepare him and like you, which you already are starting to by like allowing him to try peeing and stuff when he mentioned it to you, and he's starting to tell you when he has a poopy diaper and stuff. That's like what worked so well for Dean is I just kind of was taking those cues and running with him, like when he was starting to tell me that he was wet or poopy and stuff. And then I put a little or a little potty chair in the bathroom and let him try sitting on it when I was going to the bathroom and stuff. And then just kind of led up to that conversation and then did the 3 day. I honestly didn't think I would want to do the 3 day method, but I took like an online class that was only like $30 or something like that. And they really talked highly about it. And I was like, it was over Christmas break. I'm like, what do I have to lose? Let's just try it. And it
Yeah.
worked really well. So I have really good things to say about that 3 day potty training method.
Yeah, you loved it. And I feel like Dean excelled with it. He was potty trained and no pull-ups. And it took him a little bit for night times, but that's expected. And I feel like once he figured it out, he was like good to go.
Yeah.
Um, okay, this is like a husband vent. Is this just like a Kyle thing or is this a guy thing? That he has to pee outside, even at the house, versus inside. I mean, if he's inside, he'll go pee inside. But like, if we're going outside to like head to the farm, he's like, "Oh, so I gotta pee first." I'm like, "You were just inside. Why? Why?"
Kyle does this. So Dean must take after his uncle Kyle because lately Dean's been like, it'll be bedtime, and he's like, Mama, pee. And I was like, okay, let's go to the bathroom. No, Mama, pee outside. I'm like, no, when we are inside, we're not cavemen. When we are inside, we pee inside. When we are outside, we can pee outside.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, he's like saving water, saving. And I'm like, oh my gosh, whatever, whatever. Oh, he goes. I probably shouldn't say it. He'll be like, the breeze just feels good. I'm like, oh my god.
Getting that morning fresh air.
Yeah. I'm like, us women don't get to do that.
No, no, no. But the other day, not just the other day we were down at the farm, And it wasn't the other day. It was before our house was built. And I really had to go. So I said, Tyler, I have to go to the bathroom. I have to pee. And he's like, okay, well, you can drive up to your dad's house or your grandma's house and go. And I was like, we just got down here. We have chores to do and stuff. I'm like, I'm just gonna go behind the machine shed and squat. I'm like, you would squat when you were camping anyway. So like, I'm just gonna go back and squat. So Dean's like, Mama, you can't go outside. He's like, just boys. And I was like, Mama can go outside. I'm gonna go outside. So I went and squatted behind the machine.
Right? Well, I mean, from women, like there's been times I've been in the tractor with Kyle and we've been 20 minutes from the nearest bathroom and he's like, I'm not gonna stop in the middle of field walk, go outside. And so as a farm woman, that happens
Yeah,
sometimes. You just gotta
yeah.
go.
Who, who knew our half of our conversation would be about peeing today? That's what you guys get for a light and comical break. I almost said breakout session, podcast episode.
Okay, so the other really cute thing that toddlers do is that they say comments that that are innocent and they don't know why it's like a no-no that you don't say things like this because they just haven't experienced it yet. So Andrew, the other day I had a zit on my chin and Andrew comes up to me and goes, Mama, owie? And I was like, yeah, mama's got a zit. It's not a big deal. It's a little owie. And the cutest thing was he comes up to me, he goes, and I was like, oh, you want to kiss mommy's owie? Yeah. So he comes over and kisses my cheek and he's like, mwah. And I was like, it's cute now, but I'm like, don't be pointing out all mama's zits.
No, no. Dean made a funny comment the other day too. He has this little green tractor that he rides outside. And the other day he said, Mama, you ride it. And I said, no, Mom, you can't ride it. Dean ride it. No, Mama, you ride it. And I was like, Dean, Mama's too big to ride it. She can't ride it. It's Dean's size. And so he looks at me and he goes, Big Mama? Big Mama can't ride it? And I was like, yeah, Mama's too big to ride it, but I don't know if we need to go that far. And then Tyler comes around the corner and he's like, did he just call you Big Mama? I'm like, yeah. So now it's a joke. Now he thinks it's funny. Every once in a while, he'll be like, Big Mama. And Tyler eggs him on. Like the other day, Tyler's like, here, take this to Big Mama. And I'm like, no. No.
You're like, don't start that. I mean, did you know mama jokes are still a thing in 4th grade? I'm
Are
like,
they really?
yeah, I'm like, don't say mama jokes.
Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness.
gosh.
They say the cutest things. Oh my goodness. Like the tonight he really has been starting to say I love you.
Yeah.
For a long time it was just like I would say I love you and he would say you and he would point to me. But like in the last few weeks, he's been saying, love you. And then now he's starting to say, I love you. And so like tonight I was walking out of his room and I was like, I love you, Dean. And he goes, I love you, Mama. And I said,
Oh.
I love you, Dean. And he just kept saying it louder and louder. I love you, Mama. I said, I love you,
Oh.
Dean, all the way till like I got to the kitchen. And then he's like, I love you, Mama.
Oh, that's cute.
And I was like, okay, good night.
Andrew is starting to he goes, I love. He's like, but he doesn't say
Aw.
you yet. It sounds like I love. It's like really smushed together. And then he doesn't say you, he just giggles. He goes, I love, and then starts laughing.
Oh. The first time you kind of hear him say it back, you're just like, my heart.
Yes. Yes.
One last thing with toddlers. So we talked a lot about the funny stuff, but to all of you mamas out there that are in this like heat of the toddler stage, as funny and cute as like all those things we just talked about are, like the other day I was like, am I a good mom? And I was like literally questioning myself. I was like, he gives me a run from speaking of 8th graders, my 2-year-old gives me as much run for my money as those 8th graders, I feel like. Like he is definitely more of an ornery kid than Tyler and I think more. Like when I talk to mom and dad and stuff, like they were like, yeah, you were pretty easygoing and stuff. Like Dean is the sweetest little boy, but he is also like has such a big personality and like
Yeah.
um and so yeah, just a little toddler venting. Like I don't know if this is just a phase that we're in, but like the not wanting to listen, the being
Some days or afternoons can be tough.
yeah, being defiant and like being like adamant that what he's doing is what he's doing and I'm like, "No, you're not doing that."
Yeah.
um and like not sharing with Andrew and stuff like that. So, just things like that like we could have a moment where it's like really he's being really ornery and so not listening. And the next minute he's like the sweetest kid. So it's just
Yeah.
um like what's that word? Um
Like
like
whiplash.
whiplash. Yeah, you're just like whiplash. You're like 1 minute I'm like trying to keep my cool and not be frustrated and like stay patient and stuff. And the next minute he's like, Mama kiss my boo boo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did this kid go from like running around like a crazy man to like, hey mama, I'm gonna sit on your lap. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
Well, and I feel like Andrew wasn't quite hasn't hit that twos yet. But the other day we had a pretty tough day when Morgan and I, and my mom went to like one of our family events, and the boys just would not sit still. And they were running around trying to be loud. One would scream, the other one would scream. They did okay while we were
They egg
eating.
each other on.
Yes. Like while we were eating, if we kept snacks in front of them, they did okay. But then when they were full and it was time to like, they could sit down and play or just sit down with us and watch like what was going on at the event, they just would not sit still. So we had to take them outside. And so at that point, you almost feel like, oh man, like I wasn't even like really present at the event because I was chasing around my toddler and I feel bad. Like I wanted to be totally present for the event that we were at. But I feel like people understand too, like that is toddlers are kind
Yeah.
of, they have a mind of their own, and you can try really hard to discipline in a loving, positive way, but then sometimes they just don't want to follow directions, and so you might have to leave the event early, or you might have to accommodate. Like the other day for the we watched the Iowa State game, and Andrew did great. He was playing and having a good time, but I didn't really get to watch the game because I was chasing him around, and that's just the kind of the season we're at right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm just kind of taking it by grace and being like, I didn't really get to watch the game, but I was still at the event and I still got to enjoy it. Got to make memories with Andrew and our family and have some yummy snacks and treats. And so it definitely looks different than it used to, but I'm also like, okay, that's okay. It's just different season.
Yeah, and I have to remember along those lines that every season is so fleeting. Like I
Hmm.
remember when Dean was like 4 months old, the witching hour, where like
Yeah.
every night at 7 p.m. he just wouldn't stop crying. And I was like, how do I soothe him? He's like during that witching time period. And then when he was like one and teething, you have that phase and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And so every season has its phase of like, and it's so fleeting. Like now
Yeah.
we're not dealing with the witching hour anymore. We're not dealing with teething anymore. So now we have this new challenge. It's like once you
Yeah.
figure out one challenge, you move on to the next.
Oh yeah.
But over speaking of the Iowa State game, we were over at mom's house. And I'm like, he was just like fussy the whole time. And I don't know why. I like part of it too is I need to not tell him like what the plans are because then he's at the age where he doesn't get the concept of time. So I told him that like all of you guys were gonna be there. And so when we got there, he was expecting everyone to be there, but you guys weren't coming till a little bit later after we got there. And
Yeah.
so like he just was really upset, like, where is everyone? Why isn't everyone here? And I was trying to explain to him they're gonna be coming and stuff like that. Anyways, he was just super fussy, like the whole game. No matter what we tried to do, like mom and I, he just couldn't soothe him. And I just looked at mom and I'm like I don't know what's up with him today. He slept good, he took a good nap, like just nothing. Nothing is working. He's just like fussy. And she just looked at me and she's like, he's two. He's
Yeah.
2. He's gonna have a bad day. He's gonna be not when doesn't get what he wants, he's gonna be angry about it. And he is trying to remember things. So like it is harder to distract him. So like I could say
Yeah.
everyone's coming in a little bit later and he'll forget about it for like 10 minutes, but then he'll ask me again. So he's
Yeah.
like,
Are they here yet?
yeah. So yeah, I just have to remember that every season is fleeting, but it definitely the toddler phase so far for me has probably been the hardest because like you can start to communicate with them more and
Yeah.
there's like no reasoning with a 2-year-old.
No. The last topic we wanted to talk about tonight was just getting ready mentally and physically for harvest and preparing for that. So, you guys, I cannot believe that we're already talking about harvest. But Kyle said that they would probably start combining towards the end of September, maybe the last week. Um, but I also have to say, really quick, praise that we got some rain. We definitely needed that. It calmed some of the dust a little bit. I think it's too late for the crops, but I
Yeah.
think it will help the grounds for next year. Just any kind of moisture will help. Um, some things I'm looking forward to as we head into harvest. I always enjoy just like the start of harvest and the feel of the crisp fall air. Taking Andrew out to ride in the tractor or the combine, or um, and just seeing the corn, like the hard work of the guys, like what they've done all year, just seeing the corn flow into the grain cart or flow into the bin. It's just nice, like, okay, we got a crop out of this. So, knock on wood, we aren't there yet, but hopefully that happens. So, I always love that. The smell of the harvest. I like taking meals out to the guys and all of us getting together and like having the dogs there, even having the dogs, everybody there. So, I do enjoy that. Some things that I'm mentally trying to prepare for is Kyle not being in the house as much
Yeah.
and not having him here for dinners. Like we'll take some dinners to him, but sometimes we'll have dinners by ourselves here at the house. And so just like knowing that I need to give him grace because he's gonna be working long hours and he's gonna be tired. I'm gonna be tired. Towards the end of harvest, we usually start bickering and getting grumpy with each other. So we got to work together as a team to make it through harvest. And then it's winter time, and then he's in the house again. So got to mentally prepare myself for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I think that's really good to be aware of that and to be acknowledging that ahead of time. And like you said, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Winter's coming. Winter, I always think for farmers, like, and same with me with my flowers, winter is kind of like that excuse to slow down, to
Yeah.
stay in the house a little bit more because it gets dark at 5 p.m., stuff like that.
Yes.
Um, for me, just preparing for a busy fall season, and then, like I just mentioned, I can slow down for winter. The flower cart's gonna be wrapping up here soon, so we'll still have a month or so of that, month and a half maybe. I have a fall workshop in October that I need to prepare for, and then I have 3 weddings this fall, which I'm really excited about. I'm also very nervous because
Yeah.
of starting a new position and I won't have as much flexibility to take some time off. So just pray that I can get all those weddings done and do them to my best of my ability. So
Yeah.
that's kind of all I have on that. This was a really fun conversation. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our candid conversation, our laughs, our vents. We kind of just Megan and I just kind of caught up on this episode. So that was fun. Hopefully you guys have a great fall and we're looking forward to our October pumpkin season spooky episode.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.